thank you very much. Thank you for being here. You know, they say that the only way to guarantee a standing ovation is to make sure there are no chairs. Thank you very much, Reverend Macon, who has been a friend to me and really a friend of my whole family. Thank you, Congressman Stokes, who is a hero to me and to many of you, and who I believe is one of the greatest members of Congress that Ohio has ever produced. I like to kid Congressman Stokes. This building is kind of special to him because it's one of the last buildings in Cleveland that hasn't been named after him or his brother. So that's one of the reasons why. But thank you all for being here and taking time out of your busy days, and thanks for all my colleagues in public office, especially folks from the county council who I know are here. I want to tell you a little bit about my background. It was over a century ago that my grandparents, great-grandparents, came to Ohio because it was a place where they could find honest work to support their family and where they were guaranteed the freedoms that they were denied back in Ireland. And through the years, Ohio has seen its share of tough times, and my family has lived through those times. My parents grew up in the Great Depression, and they came out of it with a set of very strong values, which they passed on to me and my 7 brothers and sisters. Work hard, love your country, don't forget where you came from, and when you see something that's wrong, try to make it right. Now, my wife Shannon and I are raising our 4 kids, Jack and Connor and Colleen and Bridget, and they're here with us today, and we're trying to pass on those same lessons. Now, they are all teenagers. I'm not sure they're listening, but we're trying. Now, those traditions and those values are not unique to my family. You were probably raised with the same values, and those are the same traditions that made America great and made Ohio great and made this city great. And that is why in all the public positions I've held, I've taken a public oath to do my duty, but I've also made a private promise to myself to live up to those standards, whether when I was a prosecutor or as a special agent with the FBI or as a councilman or as a mayor or now as a county official. Now, back when I was a prosecutor, when I saw the most vulnerable people in our society being targeted, I tried to do something about it, and I stood up for the victims of crime. As a city councilman and as a mayor, I worked with residences and small businesses to try to bring back neighborhoods, reduce crime, and make government work for people again. And when I was an FBI agent in Chicago, assigned to the Organized Crime Task Force, and I saw corrupt politicians hijacking local government, siphoning off millions of dollars into their own pockets, public officials who thought they were above the law, I did everything I could to bring them to justice. And when I saw the same thing, happening here in my county, I was also determined to do something about it. So as the county's first county executive, I helped to dismantle a corrupt patronage machine that was choking our county government. We established a strict code of ethics and an independent inspector general to enforce it. The people in this county had lost faith that county government could be effective and efficient and transparent and honest, and we did restore that faith. Now, unfortunately, since 2010, the state has been, under Governor Kasich, on a much different path. I've watched, and so have you, as Governor Kasich has taken us down the wrong road. The pay-to-play system in state government is as bad as it's ever been, with the governor's lobbyist friends making millions. The state budget is bigger than it's ever been, and we have been stuck with the bill. The budget was balanced by making one of the worst decisions possible, defunding our local schools. Teachers were laid off, class sizes increased, and in many cases, local property taxes went up, taxes that hit middle-class families the hardest. Local government funds were raided as well, leading to cuts in police officers, sheriff's deputies, firefighters, and many more. And I watched, and so did you, as Governor Kasich attacked working people with Senate Bill 5. That's right. Trying to divide people in Ohio against each other. But we did something about that attempt, didn't we? We did. And I also witnessed, and so did you, Governor Kasich and his allies in the legislature pass and sign into law House Bill 194, the voter suppression bill, trying to reverse decades of progress in voter rights. Now, some of his recent ideas are just as bad. His tax plan would expand sales taxes by billions of dollars to an extent never seen before in the history of Ohio. And as Jim Rhodes once said, he wants to tax everything that walks, crawls, or flies. But as usual, poor families' taxes would go up while millionaires would get a big tax cut. Now, folks, the list of these mistakes goes on and on and on. And I've been watching it happen, and so have you. And it's affecting us all and the communities that we love. So we have to ask ourselves, are we going to just sit on the sidelines and just watch this happen? Or are we going to do something about it? I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to do something about it. I'm running for governor of Ohio. That's what I'm doing about it. I'm serious. I'm very serious. I think I have. I'm running because I love this state, and I know that we can do better than we're getting. And I know that we've proven that things here can be run differently. In my county, we reduced the size of government and balanced our budget without raising taxes. And unlike Governor Kasich, we didn't rob our schools or local communities to do it. In fact, we gave more money back to local schools and communities. We invested in our future, our children, by expanding early childhood education and universal pre-K. And just yesterday, just last night, ladies and gentlemen, we passed a program to guarantee a college savings account for every single child who enters kindergarten in this county. The first county in the United States to do so. The first one. And while other communities had to cut back on public safety because of Governor Kasich's cuts, we actually found a way to add sheriff's deputies and improve safety and create a community policing unit. We also invested in our economic future by creating the largest county job creation fund in the state, which is creating well-paying jobs. And unlike the governor's Jobs Ohio plan, we never claim that the public money is none of the public's business. It's your money, and you have a right to know how it is spent. Now, getting these policies right or getting them wrong isn't just about politics. It matters. It makes all the difference in the world. Ohio has one chance to get this right, to make us competitive in a global economy in the 21st century, and this governor is never going to be able to do it. And despite some bragging and boasting from Governor Kasich that we're in the middle of what he calls an economic miracle, too many Ohioans are being left out in the cold. The past few months, I've traveled across this state from Lake Erie to the Ohio River, in cities, suburbs, and small towns, and what I've heard is that people are frustrated. They're struggling. Too many people are barely hanging on to the middle class by their fingernails. The miracle that Governor Kasich talks about just has not trickled down to them. Their common sense tells them that, and they're right. Just last month, Ohio lost 20,000 jobs, more than any other state in the country, and that is not acceptable. What I've heard is young people who are worried that they will not be able to pay off their student loans or they won't be able to start a family anytime soon. People are frustrated that the values of their homes keep declining while their property taxes seem to keep going up. People feel like the financial stability that their parents or their grandparents knew just isn't possible anymore for them. And those of us with kids wonder, what kind of job market are our children going to face? And are they going to stay in Ohio at all when we eventually become grandparents? Or are they going to have to go to other states to pursue economic opportunity? And just about everyone, everywhere, is spending more hours on the job, less time with their families, bringing home smaller and smaller paychecks while they're paying more and more at the gas pump and the grocery store. So when the people I talk to hear John Kasich say that Ohio's economy is a miracle, they usually say, a miracle for who? Maybe it is a miracle for the governor and his friends. But when you talk to the workers, the small business owners, the parents, the cops, the nurses, the firefighters, and the teachers who really make up the fabric of Ohio, you know that we're in need of new leadership and we can't afford to wait. Now the challenges are certainly daunting, but Ohio has shown the world before that we know how to get things done. This is a state that knows how to invent things, build things, grow things. We're one of the world's leaders in manufacturing, technology, medicine, and agriculture. So the potential is there. And I've seen communities turned around before with the right leadership, and it can happen in Ohio. Now, I know that the election is going to be tough, but we already know that the people are on our side. How do we know that? Because Ohio in 2011 and 2012 had an opportunity to vote on John Kasich's extreme policies, and we can end those policies in 2014. But it's not just about ending destructive policies. I really believe that something better is possible, and I hope you do too. We can have a state that actually invests in early childhood education instead of cutting back on education. We can have a state that has a job strategy that's based on local businesses that pay real wages that you can raise a family on instead of big corporate giveaways. We can be a state that respects all its workers, public sector and private sector, union and non-union alike, instead of demonizing them. We can be that kind of state. We can be a state that partners with our counties and townships, small towns and cities, instead of using them as an ATM to balance the state's budget. We can be that kind of state. Ladies and gentlemen, we can be a state that honors and treasures and respects our sacred right to vote instead of suppressing it. We can be that kind of vote. And we could be a state that believes that women are fully equal and must have real equality when it comes to wages and health care choices. And most of all, we can be a state that has a governor who every day makes it his mission to make it easier for Ohio families to get in the middle class and stay in the middle class. That's what we need. So I'm ready to run this race. Are you ready to run it with me? Are you ready? I was hoping you'd say that. So let's run this race. Let's run it without fear, and let's run it without tiring. Let's run this race because we run toward challenges, not away from them. Let's run this race because we know that something better is possible. Let's run this race like our heroes ran it in generations past. Let's run this race for great purposes and high ideals. Let's run this race for the poor, the overlooked, and the unlistened to, and all of those who thought that the race had passed them by long ago. Let's run this race for the working people and middle-class families of Ohio who are going to be cheering us on every step of the way. Let's run this race to win, and let's run this race for the state we love. Thank you very much.